Hi people, and hello my Chili Con Carnage crew, it's Chili here from Live Listen Erased, and on this episode we're just going to tackle some quick news, and I'll give you my opinion on it. In this episode we're going to go over the Veronicas split, the Nirvana lawsuit, Kiss's last tour, and the NoFX breakup. So today, as of recording actually, the Veronicas have announced they will split up and they're pursuing dual solo careers. After, 20 years of the Veronicas, the twins have announced that they are splitting up, and I, for one, really don't care. It's not my type of music, that stuff. I think they released 2 albums last year with Godzilla or something like that, and Humans. I'll have to check on that one. Ooh, cheeky. Yeah, so, just briefly looking over that last one, Humans, it seemed to be a collection of singles that they had released over the last couple of years. You know, there was a big song in there that they had recorded not too long ago, or Human, I should say, not Humans, this isn't Gorillaz after all, with On Your Side, and that seemed to get a bit of play, but that was all the way back in 2016, so, yeah, some of these singles were, a couple of years old, and clearly it's just a collection of songs that they had recorded over their career. And look, the Veronicas never, I guess, achieved the height that they were at way back in the day when they released, like the first or the second album, The Secret of Life or Hook Me Up. Untouched was that big song that they had, and obviously the heights that were you would have to achieve to get back up to there would be just impossible. You see it with a few other bands, like Evanescence, for example, Bring Me Back to Life. They were never going to achieve that status again. That was a massive breakthrough. Of course, they continued on through the years and did their own stuff, and I guess they're calling it quits for whatever reason. But, yep, they're going to be pursuing solo careers, so good on them for doing so, I guess. In other news, of course, there is, this one's just stupid again, Nirvana's cover artwork baby, Spencer Eldon, who lost a lawsuit against Nirvana. This time he was trying to argue that he was suffering child sexual exploitation when he was doing the photo cover. Spencer Eldon, of course, the most famous baby in the world. He is the guy who is the cover on Nevermind, the most famous album, of course, by Nirvana. So, yep, he has tried to sue Nirvana's estate multiple times now in regards to the cover on various issues. Look, I don't know why. Maybe a payday, I maybe he's doing it for fame at the moment. I don't know. My speculation could be everywhere. Whatever is the reason, I'm not too sure. But he has his reasons, of course, and ultimately the judge has ruled that it is untimely, the lawsuit. This is 31 years after the photo shoot, and all things considered, the guy's got Nevermind tattooed across his chest. It's a bit stupid. Mundane? Yeah, make of it what you will. But, yeah, that lawsuit was a bit frivolous to begin with, and I'm kind of happy that the judge dismissed it before, it went and progressed too far. Get on with it. Even if you were to take down the album, what then? It's the most famous image ever. Everyone knows it. It's not going to change. Everyone knows what the image is and what it's about, so, yeah, you're not really stopping anything. Another piece of news, of course, is that Kiss are doing their last tour in Australia coming up this month. Doing their last legs, I should say, of their world tour. Their final tour before they finally call it quits. And, yeah, look, it's going to be interesting when they are gone, I suppose. Whether you love them or hate them, and I wouldn't pay to see them, but they would be a pretty interesting band. If someone gave me free tickets, I'd probably go. They would be a pretty cool band to go see live. I'd imagine quite an energetic concert, and one you would surely not forget. I'm not the biggest fan of Kiss, but yeah, they do write some good tunes here and there. So, it's going to be the end of an era when Kiss finally do throw in the towel, which will be, I think, at the very end of this year. From what I was reading before, I think their last leg of the tour takes them down. I think it's like Japan, and then it goes to Mexico for the last concert, which seems a very, very odd area to go from here to there. Mexico being the last concert, I would have thought Detroit or something like that for their last concert ever, somewhere in the US at least. So yeah, that's a bit of an odd one that I was just reading up. Maybe I've read it wrong there. The figures are looking pretty damn impressive if Wikipedia is to be trusted on this source. Something like $130 million has been generated from revenue regarding the ticket sales. Of course, after all is said and done and all the money is exchanged in regards to, people hired and all the concerts and, hiring of equipment, blah, 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 that's still going to be walking away with a pretty damn good, final pay packet for their life. And I'd imagine that they'll probably do some John Farnham levels of comeback tours, they're not going to go away. For those who don't like the band because of, Gene Simmons, well, just imagine what Gene Simmons will do once the band is finally dissolved and he is behind Twitter all the time instead of part of the time. Yeah, let that sink in.
Do you want to go to the punk rock show?
Yeah, let's go to the punk rock show.
And lastly, of course, on the news is the NoFX thing. So NoFX have announced via an Instagram comment, I think they were replying to someone else's comment actually, that they are going to break up next year, 2023. And this is pretty shocking news. It hasn't quite set in with me yet. I'm completely ignoring that fact that probably the last bastion of true punk rock band is going to be going away forever. NoFX to those who aren't familiar with them. They've been around for like 40 years and they've had a pretty good lineup for most of that time. They've not had a revolving door with the musicians there. Fat Mike is the most prominent of the band, of course. He pretty much to me embodies what punk rock is. When it comes to punk rock, if you're thinking about it, G.G. Allin, people regard him as the ultimate punk rocker, and I'd say Fat Mike is probably second. His attitude towards music and life in general is so vigorous, and especially when you read like his autobiography, The Hepatitis Bathtub, which I've got somewhere, it's very interesting to read some of the shit that they have done throughout their lives. I'm sure kids of the K-hole are going to be sad when they finally do go away, but it's just a fact of life. Maybe they have just seen the writing on the wall and realised that dinosaurs are going to die. They are probably part of that argument nowadays instead of being against it. They've had their own record label for decades now and they've been putting out music for a long time for many, many artists. And they've just revolutionised punk rock in general, From their meeting with Billy Joel from Green Day, that was an interesting one. If you read it through The Hepatitis Bathtub, they actually kidnapped him. I'm not going to go into too much detail after that. They accidentally kidnapped him back in the day. It was all fine. But, yeah, that was their first meeting of Billy Joel, and obviously he went on to look up to NoFX, and they influenced quite the range of musicians. Yeah, look, it's a sad day. I remember going, when did punk rock become so safe? Who knows when? Who knows? I can't imagine which reason why they decided to break up. Maybe it's just them getting tired of the scene. Maybe it's just them getting tired in general. I remember looking back to Backstage Passport, I think it was, DVD, and, that was about nearly 15-20 years ago now, and they wanted to go on tour in unsafe and weird places that they'd never been on, just to get that kick of back in, touring back in the 80s and early 90s. They've been doing all these concerts that were so safe, and obviously that's the song that I brought up earlier. When they went to these other countries, I think it was like South Africa, Russia, Malaysia, all these weird places, sticking up posters everywhere, doing it themselves. It was such a cool thing to see, and they obviously loved the vibe from doing that. But like I said, that was about 20 years ago, and maybe the flair has been lost in a long time since. I mean, even their music, which they used to write pretty light-hearted stuff, is now quite heavy. You know, My Orphan Year, for example. So they kind of lost the jokester within them. And maybe they're jaded after all these years. I don't know. Or maybe it's just them having a laugh about this, or maybe they're not splitting up. But look, ultimately one day this has to come. So, you know, I'm sure like many others, it'll be a very sad day. They were the first concert that I went to by myself. Actually, I saw them back in the day with Bad Religion, and I'll never forget it because general admission seats. I went into the mosh pit, and I'm like standing off to the side thinking, oh, I don't know about the mosh pit, that's looking a bit crazy. And this guy is just doing the loop around the mosh. I'll never forget it, he had dreadlocks down to his ass. And he locked eyes with me, you know, he stopped, locked eyes with me, and he just runs up to me, grabs me like a bear hug move, and threw me into the mosh pit. And that was it. I was on my own, in a concert, in a mosh pit, and I went, screw this. And it was a really, really damn good concert, that one. But yeah, look, I'm sure when their final concert is done and dusted, a lot of people will be like me saying so long and thanks for all the shoes. You know, they've given me a lot of memories. I've been to 3, maybe 4 of their concerts. One with Bad Religion, another one with Friends of Rom. That was an epic concert. That was my dream concert, to see those two do a tour together, and I did. Another one I brought Doz along to, because he had never really listened to anything NoFX, and afterwards, you know, even despite not really being into that music, he was like, that was a really good concert. You know, he thoroughly enjoyed it. I saw them perform The Decline with when they did the tour with Friends of Rom, and that's my favourite song. So I'm very happy to have seen that, and I'm very happy to have those memories seeing NoFX perform live. So yeah, look, it's a pretty big blow to finally hear the news that NoFX are going to call it quits. What do you think they will do after, or what would you like to see them do? Do you want to see them do solo careers, or spoken word crap? Will they go around tour and write books and that kind of, you know, boring shit? Who knows? When it comes to NoFX, nothing's off the table, I guess. You know, or will they perform? Will they release one last live recording where they said they finally really fucking suck, or something like that? Yeah, to follow a line, of course, the rest of the live recordings that they've done. Who knows? I guess if I was guessing, I would probably say that start a podcast, something easy for them to do. It just seems like the thing for every musician, to start a podcast, talk about their experiences and recording material and stuff like that. Look, if they did that, if they haven't already, they really should, because I'd imagine there'd be quite a massive thing to do that from. So, you know, hats off to them, to our favourite cross-dressing frontman bass player, Fat Mike. My drinks to you today. And that's it for the news. Enjoy yourselves and stay spicy out there. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Live Listen Erased. And if you have enjoyed this episode, make sure you share it with all your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to our Chili Con Carnage crew so you can get notified for all the future videos that we put out, as we put out videos every Friday. Also, we are on Discord, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter over at Live Listen Erased, so make sure to tune in over there. And don't forget to like this video so that our manager can stay very happy.